The New York City skyline shimmered against the late-night backdrop as the Fox News studio prepared for what had been marketed as one of the most anticipated interviews of the year. The guest list for Gutfeld was unusual that evening. Greg Gutfeld, the famously sarcastic and often controversial host, had somehow managed to book Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. It was supposed to be a light-hearted conversation about Harry's charity work, his upcoming projects, and perhaps a few jokes about life outside the royal family. But nothing about the night went according to plan. The studio audience buzzed with curiosity. Some were royal fans who had shown up hoping for insight into Harry's post-royal life. Others were regular viewers of Gutfeld, eager to see their host put the British royal under pressure. As the cameras rolled, Greg leaned back in his chair, smirk on his face, and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we've got royalty in the house. Not the kind that taxes you for tea, but the kind that left the palace for podcasts. Please welcome Prince Harry." The crowd erupted in mixed applause and laughter. Harry walked onto the set with a polite smile, though his eyes betrayed a trace of unease. Dressed in a simple navy blazer and open-collar shirt, he looked nothing like the stiff royal some remembered. "Greg," Harry said with a firm handshake, "thanks for having me." "Oh, thank you for gracing us commoners with your royal presence," Greg quipped. "I was worried you'd need a red carpet rolled out." The audience laughed. Harry forced a chuckle, but the tension was already palpable. For the first 10 minutes, the conversation remained civil. Greg asked about Harry's foundation, his recent trips, and even his perspective on mental health awareness. Harry spoke passionately, his voice steady, and the crowd responded warmly. But then, as often happens on Gutfeld, the tone shifted. "So, Harry," Greg leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk, "you've had your fair share of criticism for, let's say, stepping away from the monarchy while still enjoying some of its perks. Isn't that like quitting your job but still demanding the paycheck?" The audience gasped and laughed simultaneously. Harry straightened in his chair. "With respect, Greg, that's not what happened. My wife and I chose a different path because the environment we were in was toxic. We didn't quit, we chose survival." "Survival?" Greg mocked. "Forgive me, but survival usually involves eating canned beans in a basement, not multi-million-dollar Netflix deals and luxury estates in Montecito. I think you're doing okay." The laughter from the audience stung Harry. His jaw tightened. Money doesn't protect you from the media's relentless intrusion, nor does it shield your family from lies. We wanted peace. Peace. Greg smirked. Then why keep doing interviews, documentaries, and, oh yes, coming on my show? If you really wanted privacy, wouldn't you just stop talking? The jab landed hard. Harry's face flushed red. The polite smile vanished. "Greg," he said firmly, "there's a difference between privacy and silence. We share our truth on our terms, not when tabloids twist it. If you can't see that." "Truth?" Greg interrupted, raising his eyebrows. "So, your truth, Meghan's truth, Oprah's truth, Netflix's truth, how many versions are we supposed to keep up with?" The crowd roared with laughter. Harry's voice rose. "It's not a joke. This is my life. My family's life. And if people like you keep turning it into entertainment, then you're part of the very problem we're fighting against." The air grew thick. Greg's grin faded for the first time. He leaned closer. "Let me remind you, Prince, this is my show. And if you can't handle a few tough questions without throwing a royal tantrum, maybe you shouldn't be here." Harry shot back, "Maybe I shouldn't." The audience fell into an uneasy silence. Cameras captured the intensity, Harry's piercing glare locked with Greg's smug defiance. Moments later, Harry removed his mic, stood up, and muttered, "I won't be disrespected like this." Gasps filled the studio as Prince Harry stormed off the stage. Producers scrambled, Greg leaned back smugly, and the live broadcast cut to an emergency commercial break. When the cameras returned, Greg sat alone at his desk, feigning innocence. "Well, folks," he said with mock sincerity, "I guess some people just can't handle a little banter. But don't worry, after the break, we'll discuss why cats are better than royals." The audience laughed, though awkwardly. The night had taken a turn nobody expected. Behind the scenes, chaos reigned. Producers whispered frantically, trying to decide whether to coax Harry back or let him leave. Meghan Markle, who had been waiting in the green room, was livid. Witnesses said she scolded the staff, insisting Greg had crossed a line. Security guards discreetly escorted the couple out of the building minutes later. By morning, the story dominated headlines across the globe. Daily Mail: Prince Harry storms off Fox set after Gutfeld clash. The Guardian: Royal meltdown or media bullying. Heated exchange sparks debate. New York Times: Prince vs. Pundit: Harry walks out of Gutfeld interview. Clips of the confrontation went viral on social media. Twitter exploded with hashtags. Hashtag Harry vs Gutfeld, hashtag Royal walkout, and hashtag not your punchline. Some mocked Harry. If he wants privacy, why's he on TV? One user wrote. Another quipped, Greg just knighted himself as king of late night. But others defended the prince. He's human. He deserves respect, one fan tweeted. Good for him for standing up to a bully. The debate raged for days. Late night hosts weighed in. Memes flooded Instagram. TikTok users edited dramatic sound effects into the walkout clip. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan issued a short statement through their spokesperson. The Duke of Sussex agreed to appear on the program in good faith to discuss his charitable endeavors. Unfortunately, the tone of the interview became unnecessarily hostile and disrespectful. He chose to leave rather than continue in an environment that mocked his lived experiences. Greg, of course, capitalized on the controversy. On the next episode of Gutfeld, he opened with, "In case you missed it, I apparently scared off a prince. Not every day you get to say that. Sorry, Britain, I guess I'm why you can't have nice things." The crowd erupted in laughter. Greg had turned the feud into a ratings goldmine. But behind the humor, whispers circulated. Some Fox executives reportedly worried the incident might tarnish the show's credibility with more mainstream audiences. Others, however, saw the spike in ratings as a victory. In the weeks that followed, Harry and Meghan gave a calmer interview with another network, where Harry explained, "I don't regret leaving. I regret that it became what it did. But sometimes you have to walk away when you're not being heard." The host asked, "Would you ever return to Gutfeld?" Harry smiled faintly. "Not unless he learns some manners." The comment drew laughter, but it also underscored the cultural divide between the worlds Harry straddled: royalty, activism, and the brutal American media circus. As for Greg, he continued to milk the event for comedy. Merchandise appeared online, t-shirts reading, "I survived Harry's tantrum," and mugs with the phrase, "Greg won Harry 0." Yet, privately, some insiders claimed Greg admitted Harry had rattled him. "He's not the pushover I expected," he allegedly told colleagues. "For a guy who left the palace, he's still got a temper." The incident became more than just late-night drama. It was a cultural flashpoint. To some, it was proof Harry was oversensitive. To others, it was evidence of media cruelty. Either way, the walkout cemented its place in the annals of television history. Years later, when retrospectives were made about the most unforgettable TV moments, Harry storming off Gutfeld stood right alongside classic controversies. And for Harry himself, it was another reminder that no matter how far he traveled, no matter what titles he shed, he could never quite escape the spotlight, or the people waiting to challenge him.